live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Great to be with you for this edition of 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. Tuesday, September 26th. We're back in the studio today, going in depth tonight on YouTuber Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt, latest in this child abuse case, and one client details their time working with Hildebrandt. Plus, Candace Rivera, the former head of the anti-trafficking organization Exitus, who is now accused of fraud, appeared for a bail hearing today. Daniel Woodruff joins us live in just a few minutes for the latest on that case. However, we got to get there first. If you'd like to go in depth with us tonight, you can always communicate with us during the show. Use the hashtag 2NewsLive to join our conversation. You can always find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Send us a direct message to any of those platforms to weigh in. Let's go in depth, shall we? Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt were arrested in late August. Now, on September 18th, Ruby and Jodi were both set to appear in a St. George court. However, that was postponed due to, quote, copious amounts of information in discovery. That is from attorneys. So, as we stand right now, Franke's husband and attorney were most recently in a Provo court that same day regarding a child welfare case. They were arguing that they should be keeping this private. Right now it is public. And last week I obtained a recently unsealed search warrant because of the timing of how these search warrants play out. So we were able to obtain these and really detail some of the evidence that was seized from the residence of Jodi Hildebrandt. That is in Ivins, Utah. 2 News Live and 2 News were the first to really share these findings with you. Today, a former client of Hildebrandt spoke out about his time working with her. His name is Bryce Delarippa. He lives in Utah County. He and his now ex-wife went to Jodi for counseling. What point did you see her? Because this was in the last couple of years, right?
It was 2020. So we got married in April of 2021. And the first couple months didn't go very smoothly. And that's when we went to go see Jodi. I would say my estimation would be October. I could pull it up on my phone. I have a text from her, but.
Where did you go see her?
It was not in-person sessions. So Jodi, I think one of the biggest ways that she makes her money is by having a lot of people be able to do really quick Zoom sessions. And so we did it on Zoom or something of the like through her Connexions company. So it was all online. I never saw her in person, thank goodness.
Do you blame her for your marriage ending?
No, I don't. However, I will not absolve her of guilt for making the marriage go a little less smoothly. Jodi wasn't able to take our marriage and destroy it. She wasn't the reason we were initially in marriage counseling anyway. But the methods that she uses are very, very easy. Like, if you can get people to do what she wanted us to do, divide and conquer. She wanted to separate us in our sessions, separate us in our groups. Yes, she very easily could have been one of the reasons our marriage ended had we not seen through it. My wife saw through it a little less quickly than I did. And she said that Jodi kind of gave her like this feeling of hope. And so that's what Jodi did for my wife, is she gave her this false sense of hope that she could be helped by Jodi and that Jodi had all the answers. And that was something that really bothered me, because the reason I kept going to see Jodi longer than I would have is because my ex-wife, she was given that hope by Jodi. And from what I've seen with like the situation with Kevin and the situation with other men that have come forward, them being divided from their families and Jodi stepping in between the marriage as opposed to guiding the marriage so that they can be together, she is very, very manipulative. And what she was doing would never be cohesive. Like, it was never to put us closer together. It was to further us apart. So do I blame Jodi for ending my marriage? Thank goodness, no. But I blame her for everything she did to try. And I know she would have tried a little bit harder because I was not on board with her distortion, all of her craziness. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was her, was when I had overheard, because everything was digital, everything was on Zoom. My ex-wife was on these sessions, and my mom and myself, we could kind of overhear the sessions, just because, you know, we're all in the same house. And it sounded to me more like a cyber bully group to bully the individuals in the group than it was a therapeutic conversation about supporting each other and making marriages work. All these women were very bitter. They were very angry at their husbands. Jodi was the ringleader of a bunch of very hateful conversation. And so I knew it upsets me because I know that she has affected a lot of marriages and they've come to an end because of her. I can guarantee that much.
How many times would you say you saw her for therapy over how many months?
For me, it was quick. For my wife, it was probably only a month. So because we had to pay for a lot of sessions, it was very expensive. We went to, I went to one, I went to 3 sessions, and then I was sick of it after the third session. So I went to the group couples counseling where we were together. I went to my individual session, and I went to one men's group. And then after the men's group, I realized that I didn't want to be a part of it anymore, and I thought it was weird.
Just a quick thing about your bishop at the time referring you to Jodi.
Yes.
Was
Mhm.
there an option to see other people, or was it just Jodi was the only one that was referred?
No, I think that's the misconception that a lot of people are having about this, because I am a church member, and um in my YouTube comment section, most people are just telling me I'm part of a cult and that you can't blindly believe everything, as if they don't understand that I'm a little more skeptical than they may think. But my bishop recommended Jodi, but he never put that down our throats. I could have told him no. I never read reviews, right? I trusted my bishop, so obviously he made a bad judgment call. I'm not gonna speak to why he made that judgment call because I don't know. I need to talk to him still. However, what I can say is that there was never a force in that direction. He just said, "Hey, you might want to look into Jodi Hildebrandt," and I said, "Sure, let's go to Jodi Hildebrandt." And then when we came back to him and said that we had no interest in seeing Jodi Hildebrandt anymore, after my wife had decided she was done with Jodi too, he referred us to a different therapist that we actually did get some help from, and much better person. So I don't know what the experience with other people and their bishops were, but my bishop was exactly who he's always been, and he didn't force us one way or the other. I should have done my due diligence, and I didn't.
Why did you ultimately want to come forward and kind of just share your experience about this very public sort of situation as it unfolds now in the court process with these allegations?
I was very upset that so many people, because I didn't know when I left my terrible review for her a long time ago, I was hoping that would stop some people from going to see her, because the reason is because I hope that if she ever gets out of prison, that she would have a tainted reputation, and I would like to be a part of tainting it because, you know, I mean, I know that sounds malicious, but I don't want her to go back into the general public and do the same thing ever again. And I just wanted to shed light on it because I felt that I had a unique platform to do so at the time. So I came out because I wanted to make sure that people knew that this is not in the courts. I mean, I don't know what evidence is admissible in court, but I wanted to make sure that everybody who could see this would know how dangerous people, not just Jodi, but people like this are. And I can't believe she abused a child. I mean, I can't believe it from her, but I can't believe that a person in her position was so incredibly abusive to such an innocent demographic. It's unbelievable.
So what comes next in all of this? Let's continue to go in depth. Now, previously a hearing was scheduled for September 18th. The morning of that scheduled hearing in Washington County, it was postponed. On our website, it states that attorneys filed a motion to continue to review a hearing after October 5th. So now we wait, right, for an officially scheduled status conference hearing and the hearing that will ultimately determine if either Ruby Franke or Jodi Hildebrandt will be permitted to leave jail on bail. As of today, when I checked earlier, they are still both in the Washington County Jail. If you missed any of our 8 Passengers content, you can find it on our YouTube page, including the conversation you see here with Jodi Hildebrandt, that is Jodi's niece. We have a playlist right now with all of our coverage, including more interviews with people who are very close to this case, like Jodi, who has her own allegations and her own police report that was filed with American Fork about 10 years ago. Plus, you can always stay up to date with our reporting on air and online at KUTV.com.
I've never met Ruby.
I think more in shock at first, and to know that she paid me with money that wasn't good, that wasn't hers, and she didn't have the right to.
In a 2 News exclusive, we spoke with the woman who sold this 1977 Corvette to Candace Rivera. She shared how she feels now learning Rivera is accused of paying for it with embezzled money. Rivera was at a bail sentencing hearing today. Our Daniel Woodruff has been covering this case all day. Daniel joining us live in the whip right now. I'm assuming it's not the Corvette, Daniel, but what did we learn in court today?
Yeah, we're just coming back from Provo, and she had a bail hearing, Candace Rivera, and it went on for a little bit as the judge listened to both sides, but ultimately Judge Christine Johnson ruled that Candace Rivera would not get out of jail on bail. This came after prosecutors had argued that she is a risk to the community and very much in danger of fleeing if she was let out. Defense attorney had argued that she doesn't have a place to flee to and that she's not a risk to the community because she doesn't have any violent criminal past of any kind. But the judge basically said she felt that this is a case of a woman who is likely to continue to commit financial crimes if she is released, and so she ordered that Candace Rivera remain in the Utah County Jail without bail as this felony case against her proceeds.
Daniel, just quickly, we saw some of the video of Candace Rivera there in the courtroom today. How do you describe her demeanor when she came in and then also exited the courtroom today?
Well, someone asked me that on Twitter, and I'll be honest, where I was sitting, I was very much in the back with other reporters to the back of her, so I couldn't see her face, and our photographer was to the side of the courtroom, so only saw the profile. But she was quiet. She sat by her attorneys and listened. She walked in quietly. She walked out quietly as well. She didn't make any comment. I asked her defense attorneys after if they wanted to say anything about the judge's decision, and they declined to do so. But certainly outside the courtroom, there were a lot of happy people who said that they are victims of Rivera. They said that this is a good decision, that she's going to stay in jail. As one woman put it, Brian, they're glad that she's going to be behind bars where she can't victimize anybody else. That was the words of one woman who said that she had been scammed out of some money by Candace Rivera, founder of Exitus.
Daniel, before you go, can you share a little bit more of that conversation with the woman about the Corvette? Very interesting, right? I mean, classic car, kind of unrelated when you think of anti-human trafficking organization. Can you dive in a little bit on where all of this came up? It's a really interesting find for a conversation about this.
On the Corvette, I actually didn't speak to that woman. I was speaking with others outside the courtroom about their thoughts mainly on what happened in the courtroom and the decision for no bail.
Daniel Woodruff live for us tonight, coming back from Provo. Daniel, we appreciate it. Thank you. Meteorologist Chase Thomason here with your first alert forecast and some numbers.
Okay, water year ends in just a few days, the last day of September.
Okay.
Water year starts October 1st. So we take in that water year and we take a look at how well we did, and we did pretty good. About 18 inches of water or rain, and that's about 2.5, 3 inches above normal. Of course, what really sticks out, which we talked all winter long, was how much snow we had. At least in Salt Lake City, about 88 inches, which is the 8th snowiest on record. And 55 of those days we had measurable snow. So we had a lot of those days where we had a dusting, an inch or two, and it just really piled up.
It's really interesting because obviously if you're talking about mountain locations, this might not be 8th, maybe it'll be 1.
Number 1.
So
right.
Where's the difference lie there? Like, how do you quantify what happened in the mountains versus what happened in our valley locations?
We were a little bit warmer, so there were a few of those atmospheric river events, if you remember all that, and we saw a little bit more rain mixing in with that snow, and so that's why this isn't number 1. If we looked at precipitation, of course, during the winter months, this would be a bit higher.
This year, we're going to be number 1, Snow Lake City, baby.
You hear?
Bring it on.
Yeah, I will
Quote
see.
me here in September.
We're quoting Brian right now. mark it down. Let's get to your forecast. Here's what you need to know. We've had some pretty comfortable weather the last few days, and it's still really nice. It's a little on the warm side for this time of year, 10 degrees above average. Record's 90, so we're only 4 away at 86, but keeping it very sunny. With these longer nights, we will be cooling off, though, into the 40s and 50s across a good chunk of the state. And then again, rebounding back into the 80s for most of the Wasatch Front tomorrow, very similar to today. 79 in Logan, 75 in Park City, mid-80s in central Utah, and St. George tomorrow coming in at 92 degrees. There is a little relief, though, coming our way. Tomorrow, 85 is the forecast in Salt Lake, but we dropped to 77 on Thursday. So slight cool down. There's a dry, cool front that's going to be sliding in. Dry for Utah as the moisture stays to our north. Lots of rain over the Pacific Northwest, but here comes that front sliding in Wednesday night. Again, temperatures dropping for northern Utah, but still pretty warm to the south. No rain coming our way until we head into the weekend, and that's our next weather maker. But there's a few changes. Looks like the brunt of the storm really doesn't arrive until Sunday. Now, Friday and Saturday, the winds will be increasing as the storm drops into the Great Basin, and then eventually the storm begins to push in on Sunday, and then could even linger into Monday now. So we've added a chance for showers on Monday for northern Utah, and then it's out of here. It does get quite cool, very fall-like with that storm system. Here's how much rain we could see. This is still up in the air. Things could change, but right now it looks like maybe a 1/10 of an inch to a 1/2 inch of rain across a good chunk of the state. The highest totals will likely be across northwestern Utah, so we'll see maybe some areas getting more than a 1/2 inch. St. George, sunny weather, low 90s through Friday. Few clouds, but windy on Saturday, and then Sunday is your coolest day at 69 degrees and a few storms possible in St. George. I think your best chance for rain might happen Sunday morning, and then next week looks nice, mid-70s in St. George. Salt Lake, mid-80s tomorrow, upper 70s Thursday and Friday. Slight cool down, but it's still above average. Saturday will still be pretty mild. Those gusty south winds increasing, and then here comes the rain Saturday night and into Sunday, and a few lingering showers on Monday. But look at those 60s moving in for early next week. Overnight lows in the 40s, so not quite dropping into the 30s yet for those overnight lows. 40s manageable.
Side note, I said to you after one of your 4 o'clock hits, I said, man, doesn't he look tan coming back from Mexico? It looks good. It's great. Like, that's definitely not from a weekend out here in our mountains, I think.
That's not. You're not going to get those UV rays right now.
All right. So moving ahead here, the cool down obviously very interesting. The weekend a little dicey at this point, right?
Sunday.
Yeah.
Saturday's going to be okay.
So you're thinking there's still at least a 50-50 of a quality weekend here for some folks?
I think so. It might be a little windy, might be a little bit mild. There will be maybe some stray storms, but I think Saturday overall is going to be okay. Sunday is the day where it's going to be raining.
Okay, and if things are changing, remember to download our 2 News weather app to know about those changes in your neighborhood. You can get updated forecasts and that live radar right on your phone. So if you're thinking, Thursday, Friday morning, has this changed a little bit? Has the track changed?
It does change.
And it does change.
Right.
So that is a great resource there. If you're in between newscasts, if you're on the go, grab the app. And a reminder, you can always find 2 News Live at the palm of your hand as well. On your phone, your tablet, your computer, you can stream our newscasts. KUTV mobile app, Stir News On, and YouTube. We're also on Facebook Live as well. They're all free to download in the Apple App Store or Google Play. Chase, it's Tuesday. I'm already thinking weekend, just because it's been a long couple days. Already
That's
thinking
all right.
weekend. I always love talking to you about this. There's still a lot of really good events going on right now. I mean, I know you and I have similar thinking about cool mountain locations.
Yeah.
Snowbird's still got it going on. Snow Basin's got it on Sunday.
Well, now's the time to head into the mountains. I mean, of course, there's always something for you in the mountains, but right now is when everyone wants to do those fall drives.
Sure.
We're starting to see a lot more color in the mountains. This weekend, next weekend are going to be prime for those leaf peepers.
Yeah, and some really great hiking locations too. Maybe, these big celebrations at the resorts really aren't your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get up there early weekends, I would say, to actually get a parking spot at some of these trailheads and go check out the colors. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful in certain canyons right now.
Lots of areas to check out.
All right. Well, thanks for watching 2 News Live, a Tuesday edition. They let me back inside today after kicking me to the curb and the sidewalk.
We might keep
yesterday. Yeah, if we have to. See you tomorrow, 5:30, same time, same place. Have a great night.